you guys thought Dragon Strike was getting nerfed and is gone in 1.4, you're wrong. You've misread the patch. I'll be talking about that, as well as some very important 4-star weapons. So specifically, one of them is incredibly powerful, guys. So let's get into it for you guys. Obviously, want to see more stuff on Genshin. You know what to do. Do the YouTube jazz, all right? That like, subscribe stuff. Anyway, so we have the invitation of Windblume coming, all right? And one of the weapons we're going to be talking about is the Windblume Ode. Like, this is going to be kind of like the Festering Desire. It's not the same weapon, as it doesn't do the same things, but you're going to be getting the visible winds as part of the event to go ahead and level up the refinement ranks on this bow. So we're going to get that for free as well, and that's something we're going to be talking about. We're not going over general, you know, dating similar 1.4 whatever, although everyone knows Noelle and I, we're gonna hit it off. We're gonna hit it off pretty easy, okay? Right? We better anyway. I'm like #1 Noelle player in the entire world, right? So Windblume mode, what does this thing do? This thing is gonna be a very weird bow for you guys out there. Now, I don't know who's gonna make the most use out of this bow. It has the low-ish attack, 510. Not the worst in the world, but it's also not that high. And it has Elemental Mastery as its scaling secondary stat there. So that's already kind of like a weird thing, EM bow with Elemental Mastery. But the refinement that you're going to be getting on this, if you use an elemental skill, you're going to gain the Ancient Wish of Windblume that increases your attack at refinement rank 5 by 32% for 6 seconds here. So I personally don't have the highest regard for this weapon, right? Because if you just wanted an attack percent buff for your character, you could just use an attack percent bow. Now, obviously, you can get this one for free. So if you're a newer player, get in there, do the event. You'll find some use for it. You know, throw it on Fischl, some other character like that just wants to do damage, and you're gonna have that attack percent bonus for 6 seconds. Although if you had something like, you know, just for like level 1 Rust, refinement rank 1 Rust, that's gonna be better than that, because Rust can give you like a 49% attack scaling stat here. And unless you're using this elemental mastery stat, unless you're vaporizing or you're doing something endgame like vaporize or melt, elemental mastery is not the craziest stat in the game. They need to really kind of maybe go back and look at overload and superconduct and electrocharge and all that stuff there. But that's some other topic for another day. Windblume Ode, pretty good, but not like super crazy. The other thing I want to talk about here is this weapon banner. I know weapon banners are of the get back away from thee, leave me alone, but this one here, the 4-star, not the 5-star, the Alley Flash, it's an insanely good weapon for one of the best characters in the game, that being Bennett. Whether it's support Bennett or DPS Bennett, this weapon is very good for this character. It's very strong, and it could even be applicable to other characters as well, because it's built differently than any other weapon in the game. It has this bonus base attack, exponential, sort of, not exponential, but it's got a bonus base attack scale. It's a 45 attack base weapon, where if you compare it to like the Aquila Favonia, which is the highest attack weapon for swords in the game, which starts at 48. Check out this base attack at the end. This one ends at 660, and the Aquila Favonia ends at 674. Now, this is a 5-star weapon. This is a 4-star weapon. This weapon has an insane scaling to its base attack, and that's why it's so good for Bennett, because Bennett's attack buff is based off of his base attack. And if you don't have something like the Aquila Favonia, you're not getting there. You're not getting there with Bennett. So this thing is very good, even for support Bennett. The downside to this weapon is it has a very awful secondary stat. And not just elemental mastery, but you can see the scaling on it. It is terrible, right? Remember, the Windblume Ode, 165. This is the atypical scaling that you get for elemental mastery as your secondary stat. Alley Flash, got like 110 less, but has that huge base attack, which means you're going to be doubling down more on your attack percent buffs. You're doing DPS Bennett. If for support in DPS Bennett, his elemental burst is based off of his base attack. So you're going to have a very high base attack. If you had like a 500 base attack weapon before, now you have 160 extra base attack. If you have his elemental burst leveled up where you get a 100%, maybe all the way up to 120% bonus, you're adding 160 all the way up to maybe 190 extra attack on his elemental burst, which is very strong for both support and DPS Bennett, because DPS Bennett, DPS is in his own elemental burst as well, which is incredibly powerful. The other thing though, is that if you choose to, maybe you get some refinements one day The ability on it is also very, very good. Damage dealt increased by the character holding this weapon is increased by 12%. You take damage, it disables the effect for 5 seconds. So, you know, you have to be like a pro gamer out there to use this, but if I'm rank 5, 24% added damage to everything. Your elemental burst, your normal attack, your auto attack, your elemental skill, everything does more damage. That is very, very strong. Now, the thing that we need to keep in mind here about this weapon is it says taking damage. We need to see if shields block this, then it becomes even more powerful, right? You have elemental shields running around. Maybe you have like Diona in your party, Zhongli in your party. You can put Zhongli anywhere. Literally one of the best characters in the game, had with 2 other characters. So strong, this refinement rank 5 ability, or just this ability in general. So keep that in mind. If you have maybe some extra primo gems, maybe you want to be like, okay, let's see if I do 1 alley flash, just get in there and see if I get it. It is a very, very, very good weapon out there for sword characters. The second highest attack, base attack, sword in the game. The only one that beats it is the Aquila Favonia at 674, which is very, very, very strong. Now, here's the full patch notes for all of 1.4. Not what we're getting this week. This is for everything because they have other stuff in here as well. Right now, what we're getting, right, we're getting the invitation for Windblume event. We're getting the 2 banners, right? We have this one in the rerun of the Venti banner with our girl Noelle on it. All right, Noelle, one of the best kept secrets of the game. You guys get it for free. If you, well, not for free. She's on the beginner banner, but you know what I'm saying, right? So we know Rosario is coming out, but here's what I really wanted to touch on for you guys down in here. And this is the thing that's been misconstrued a bunch. Now, if you scroll all the way down to others, but what we are talking about is this thing. Now, everyone thinks that this is them nerfing Dragon Strike. That is not what this is. Dragon Strike is not how it's performed like this. This is something entirely different. If you thought this was a Dragon Strike, you either heard it from someone else that it was getting nerfed, or you have never done a Dragon Strike yourself either in your entire life. And you should, because it's really fun to do. But this says fixes an issue whereby some characters who have not hit a target with an attack can jump while returning to a standby pose and thus performing a plunging attack. Now, what this means is that there is an animation that's played after you maybe take a couple of swings of your weapon, and then your character like does like a, I know it's nice sound effects, right? And then they like pose with it, and then it disappears. For Claymore characters, specifically a lot of Claymore characters, if not all Claymore characters, they'll take their weapon and they'll reverse it and they'll plant it in the ground. And if you plant it in the ground and jump at that same time, for whatever reason, you'll jump just high enough to do a plunging attack, and that is not a Dragon Strike. But if you go ahead here and look at the additional note, we are paying close attention to the possible impact of other operations that can produce the same effect, which is the plunging attack. When they didn't originally intend for you to be able to plunge attack that way. If we have plans to change them in the future, we will announce that as soon as possible. And they have not made that announcement about Dragon Strike. So as far as we know right now in 1.4, it is still in the game, and it is heckin' fun to do. All right, it is so much fun. I don't think it breaks the game. If anything, I wish they would make it more accessible for players to do that effect. It's fun for every character out there. You can do some really, really cool stuff. Will they nerf it? Probably eventually. When? I have no idea. Should they? No, I think they should add that to the combat rotation naturally with characters in Genshin Impact. It is so fun to do. It's so fun to pull off, so fulfilling, so rewarding. I want to see more aspects of temporary aerial combat added to the game. They tried to do it with Albedo. I've tried to do and use that sort of technique with Albedo. Use the elevator. Enemies stand on it, the elevator doesn't go up, you just waste your time the entire time. No, I want to be Virgil. I want to be the big boy, Dante. Let's get in there. Devil May Cry this up a little bit. And I got a lot of comments like, you look like you're playing Devil May Cry while pulling those off. It's very fun, guys. And yes, it's not cool that it's, you know, the easiest place to do it is on PC. I can't even play mobile, so I don't know how any mobile players can pull it off, but I have seen mobile players pull it off. The fact that you can play this game on mobile, you're already a legend in my heart. Okay, and then PS4 players can do it as well. I think though, if you're playing like 30 FPS, it's literally like twice as hard to do than if you're playing at 60 FPS. So that might be a thing, as well as keeping you held back a little bit. I want to see it easier to be done because I want everyone to have the joy of pulling off the plunging attacks there, because it's so cool. It's so fun. And you maybe like add it, make it easier to do, put like an internal cooldown on it. I don't know, but it's a lot of fun out there for you guys here. We're not going to go over all this other stuff. Here's one reason why they might nerf it before this comes out, though. Hitting the opponent with a plunging attack decreases their defense by 40% for 10 seconds. Hey, man, if you're having problems with the Abyss and they don't nerf Dragon Strike, as soon as period 2 comes out, get in there and get that free 40% defense break here. And, you know, this might be something that might make them actually nerf Dragon Strike. But as of right now, they have no intention to. They said they're basically keeping an eye on it, but they said that they will announce it as soon as possible, so we know when that's going to happen. I've literally haven't been more excited to play Genshin Impact, to try to learn to do an in-game mechanic that has to do with combat than after Dragon Strike came out. I've literally been more willing to play the game now and more invested into playing the game, more hours, just hitting stuff, hitting trees, hitting big bosses, going and fighting Child, going and doing Abyss for no reason whatsoever, than to do Dragon Strike. It's something new to learn and new to do, and it looks cool, and you feel so good when you do it. So maybe before you nerf it, think about that a little bit. Think about how it's enticing me and maybe other people to want to play the game more, because it makes combat more interesting before you nerf that thing into the ground and call it unfun, because it's not fun, it's really fun. But if you want to see more Genshin Impact content, guys, you know what to do. Go ahead, hit that subscription button, notification bells on. Hope you guys have a good day down there. Leave a smiling comment down there. Let me know what you've been up to in Genshin. Let me know about the Alley Flash, the Windblume Ode, all of that good stuff. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care, guys.